Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to the new adventures of A Feast of Films Theater with your hosts, Jesse Prosser and Ethan R. Hill.
In Technicolor.
All right, everyone, and we are walking.
We're good.
Going
we're good.
this way, walking. Keep it moving, people. Watch the line. We're walking and set it down.
Steady,
Okay.
people. Okay. Oh, we have lost an engine. We're just gonna... We got you. We do this all the time.
We had an engine?
Yeah, maybe.
Why do we have an engine?
I was just thinking, in airplane type of thing. You're guiding them in.
Airplanes don't walk, they roll.
You know what I meant. I don't know why I thought airplanes, honestly.
Because you have no taste.
What, air travel is statistically the safest way to travel.
Yes.
If anything, it means I have impeccable taste.
In nothing.
Oh. It was very dramatic.
Yes.
You know what else is very dramatic? The films of Robert Eggers.
I'm too tired for this.
Hi, everybody. We've been gone for a little bit. We're back on a new episode of A Feast of Films. How are you doing, Ethan?
I'm tired.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. I was not expecting that kind of segue.
I mean, hey, it gets the job done. Really sets it up for us early. Unless you have a better segue we could use.
I got nothing.
To pilot our way into this. What?
What's with you in planes today?
I don't know.
Do you miss planes?
I don't know. I
Do
would.
you miss flying?
I do.
I can make you fly.
Can you? I don't think you're strong enough. Nor do I think you have the money to send me flying, as it were. I mean, with the way that the framing is right now, you would have gone right out. Would completely lost you. Oh god! There goes gravity. Oh.
I can't see.
Is it because of our studio lights?
No, it's because I don't have my glasses
Oh, well,
on.
that could have something to do. Fair enough. But no, I figured, since, I guess it's a little off from the release of The Northman, but I think there is definitely enough to discuss in regards to, the films of Robert Eggers. For
The
us to,
three films of
the
Robert
three
Eggers.
films of Robert Eggers. There was this short film he did as well, which I haven't seen, because apparently it's hard to track down.
Oh man, I haven't seen it either. That's us talking about the short film.
Wow. And moving on from there.
I'm really sarcastic today.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's going to be a spicy episode.
A spicy
It's going to
episode.
be a spicy episode. No, that's a saucy episode.
It could be spicy.
It could be spicy.
It could be spicy.
There could be some spice in the sauce.
A spicy meatball.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah.
But I mean, like, what do you want to discuss with him about? I mean, not with him, but about him and his films. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm so tired.
Oh my god. Ethan.
I slept decently well. I've had lots of nightmares lately.
Oh my god.
I was supposed to have time off, but instead I took a job.
That's true. You did.
And I'm good.
You're good?
I think so.
Well then. But no, I just figured, because his films are very, all three of them are very distinct, but there is a very clear style to them, and there's, Robert Eggers' film has a very particular feel, so I figured it was worth discussing them, considering, personally, I really enjoy all three of his films. I know you are partial to The Lighthouse, as am I.
I feel like I'm not going to even need to talk. I can just sit there and you can just tell me.
No, but, no, it's specifically, I think The Lighthouse is, probably the one we'll have the most to discuss about, but you enjoyed The Witch and The Northman as well.
To a point, yeah. First off, how does his films feel? Do they feel squishy? A little more solid?
Well,
Do
there's
they
this...
feel sandy?
There's this,
What texture would you describe them each as?
Um,
I feel like the Vitch is a nice wood grain.
I mean, yes, I would
Yes,
say
and
that
a little bit of fur.
the lighthouse is very moist.
Yeah, lots of dampness.
Like
Damp towels, some damp stone.
damn stone,
Um,
and the Northman is
some slimy tentacly stuff.
yes, the Northman is
Like, I don't know if this is a feeling, but pure rage.
yeah, magma.
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 It's like some hot magma.
it's very, it's a very like I would say it's like fire and steel is the the feel of the Northman because it's a
Fire and ice.
fire and there's not a lot of ice in it. There's like at the beginning and then there's not a whole lot after that.
That was a reference.
I know it's because you were
Taking
saying
my fun out.
of course. Well, you were saying that if they adapted Fire and Ice, Robert Eggers would be the perfect guy to do it.
After seeing The Northman, yes, 100%.
Yes.
It's weird fantasy, men in loincloths type of stuff.
Well, of course.
That's basically
Fire
what
and Ice.
That's basically what Northman was.
I have not. I still have yet to see Fire and Ice.
I can show you.
Isn't it did that come out in 1982 as well? Because I know there was a lot of like those like
Bum, bum.
weird animations that came out in 1982.
1983.
Oh damn!
A film by Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah, that checks out.
It is a very weird movie,
Mm-hmm.
but delightful.
Huh. Well, there you go. But no, just got sidetracked on the textures of the movies.
Yes, I think different types of fur, as well. Like
Yeah,
because
the main character's name means bear wolf, so that checks out.
Well, yeah, and that's different than than Black Phillip's fur. you
Yes,
know.
Black Phillip's fur, which is different from Robert Pattinson's mustache.
Yes.
Which is
Different than Willem Dafoe's beard.
different. Willem Dafoe's beard,
Both times.
the feathers on the seagull.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't kill seagulls.
Well, and like I guess it's worth discussing. Like the things that are consistent throughout all three of his movies is usually there's like a lead animal involved in the story to one degree or another. Because like you have Black Phillip, then you have the seagull, and then there's the wolf that he encounters in when he's at the farm. So they usually all have like an animal.
Did I sleep through that?
I mean, it's possible. It's not a super long movie.
In all honesty, my brain took the fox from Green Knight.
I mean, it had a similar feel to it because like the wolf did guide him, or was it a fox? Oh God, now I'm getting mixed up. But basically, there was look it up, please. Here I'm having an expert discussion on the North. But it basically was an animal that guided him to find the sword.
In the stone?
No, in the buried ship that he had to fight a zombie to get, or did he have to fight a zombie? Because that's the other thing in his movies that is consistent throughout all three.
What is real and what is not?
Yeah, like a little less so in The Witch. Like by the end, it's fairly obvious within the narrative that like some fantasy stuff is happening. But especially in The Lighthouse and the Northman, there's this merger of mythology and reality that has this, like, it feels cohesive, but, like, it's one of those things where, like, you can't tell whether or not things are actually happening or if the lead character is just losing their mind.
So I would have thought the ravens would have been more of the animals.
Yeah, I mean, the ravens as well. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's a crow in The Witch as well.
Is it a crow or a raven?
A crow.
You sure?
I think can't remember.
I don't see anything about a wolf.
Well, there's definitely a wolf in the Northman.
I mean, there's like the wolf that he wears.
Well, yes, of course. But there is one that I believe takes him to find the sword.
Enters him out. Yeah, no mention of a wolf at all.
Really?
Just that he goes there.
Did I imagine the wolf in the story?
I think you might. I don't remember it at all.
Dear viewer, please comment below if I'm making up the fact that a wolf takes him to the boat to find the sword.
Yes.
But no, and that's like something that I think is unique about his films in particular, is like there is a very clear, or I guess there isn't a clear distinction between what is reality and what is fantasy within them, you know? Like, even within the context of The Witch, until you get to close to the end, you don't know if, like, the family's just losing their minds and, like, seeing things, or if there's actually, like, witchy stuff that's going on. And then it almost, like, manifests itself because of that. Very interesting. And then, of course, with the Northmen, there's all the mythology stuff. Like, there's the Valkyrie that, like, he perceives that a Valkyrie saves him, but in reality, it's Anya Taylor-Joy's character. So, no, I personally really like that stuff. It separates it from your usual fantasy type of story, you know. Where it's
I feel there needs to be more commitment to the fantasy. It needs to be more weird stuff. It was weird, but it wasn't like too weird. It was weird.
It was pretty weird, especially like when they were like dancing around and like they're doing like their berserker dance and like they're transforming into their animals.
Yeah, but like again, you could actually take that and make it a fantastical element. Is all I'm saying.
Which is fair, but like I think the kind of the merger of the two, like showing the fantasy within reality, is what makes it more unique to me as far as how the story is presented.
We don't really have a lot of fantasy movies these days, so really I don't think uniqueness is really,
I guess,
a factor.
Well, like, there's been, I mean, like, there really hasn't been a lot of fantasy movies. There's just been, like, movies with fantasy elements within them, like, within comic book movies, because, like, Eternals, I would say, would fall under the fantasy category, but because it's MCU, it's got definitely more of like a science fiction feel to it.
Mm-hmm. That's the same with the Harry Potter films. Like, when you think about fantasy films, even just fantasy one-offs or anything like that, what's the most recent fantasy film to come out?
It's a good question.
That's my point.
Well, because I guess that's worth discussing. Like, because obviously the Hobbits came out not too long ago.
Yeah, and then again, like, does Harry Potter count as fantasy? Technically, it does, but that is also grounded in a very real world. Yeah,
but like, there is no question in Harry Potter that the magic is real.
Yes,
you know.
Well, I guess that brings up, in my opinion, an even bigger discussion just about sword and shield movies in general, and like fantasy movies in general.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's, to some degree or another, there is always the question about, is the magic real in it? King Arthur specifically, the amount of interpretations that King Arthur, or actually that's a weird one. Robin Hood technically would be like a sword and shield movie, but like is not fantastical at all. There's no
except the Disney one where they're all animals.
But even then, there's no magic. There's nothing magical, and like, oh, that's why I keep missing that up. I mean, sword and sorcery movies.
Sword and sorcery, like,
yes, like
you were saying sword and shield.
Yeah, but sword and sorcery movies.
Yeah, sword and sorcery. I think they're also there's another like word that people use for them where it's like sword and
the Dungeons and Dragons
movies, which there actually was a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Not great.
No, apparently they're doing a new one, I guess.
We'll see.
The trouble with something like Dungeons and Dragons, though, is like
there's no actual like specific lore. Like there's lore, but there's not.
There is, but it's like the fun of Dungeons and Dragons is what do you do within your world with that lore, and how does what the characters do affect it. And obviously in a movie, like you'd almost want like Dungeons and Dragons definitely is something that would lend itself more to like a choose your own adventure like video game or like an open world RPG than it would like.
I'm actually surprised it's never been really translated into a successful video game.
I feel like there definitely has been, but like again, nothing like huge. Like if Bethesda did a Dungeons and Dragons game, it could be pretty cool. Or even CD Projekt Red, something like that. But again, that's its own thing, right? I guess you could technically say the Vox Machina animated show is a Dungeons and Dragons show, but like that's again so much of its
about
own.
A specific campaign.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing. Like that is a very specific story that is being followed. So, but no, I was trying to think like when you get recent examples, because like you mentioned the Green Knight. This has now gone to a completely different topic, and I'm more than fine with it. But like the Green Knight is
like that was for me the reason why that one was so disappointing is because I was hoping for like a rebirth of the sword and sorcery movies.
Yeah,
especially like high budget, like good quality ones.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was just too much art house and not enough that.
Yeah,
like
which I feel like. As art housey as the Northman is, I feel like it does strike a bit better balance than
it still does, but there's still, to me, like what makes a good sword and sorcery film is one where you don't question whether or not the sorcery actually like was real. Like it's always part of it, you know.
No, and that's fair. Well, I mean, like I feel like in the Green Knight, like it's kind of difficult because it seems very clear that the Green Knight himself is real. But then how much of the other stuff is real and how much of it is Dev Patel tripping on mushrooms? That's the... Because, like, there's no clear answer whether the giants are real that he encounters or, like, the ghost lady or any of that stuff, so...
Yep.
So it's kind of weird, but, like... And you would think with, like, it being set within, like, that King Arthur, like... Arthurian fantasy continuity, there would be more of a clear definition to it. I know some people really liked it just because it had that, like, kind of, like, acid trippy type feel to it, but I can see what you mean as far as, like, it would be nice if there was more of a clear answer.
No, and that's just how I feel about a lot of those films in general. Like,
yeah.
Even, like, Robert Eggers films, like, again, it kind of... It could be pushed into more of it. Like, actually, in all honesty, the only one that, like, out of the three of them, the Lighthouse works the best is whether or not it's ambiguous because it is a story about madness.
Yeah.
And that fits into that, again, the Lovecraftian...
Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah. But it is because it actually deals with...
We finally said it,
everyone. It deals with people falling into madness.
Yep.
And therefore you should be questioning what's real or not.
Yes, absolutely.
Like Willem Dafoe's whole speech about telling him how long he's actually been here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's great. Like, that's brilliant stuff.
5 weeks, 2 days. Help me to recollect. So good.
With The Witch, it's a really weird choice at the very end to make the witches actually be a thing, as opposed to like that question of like, is it a family descending into madness?
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives you the solid answer of like, no, there were witches there cursing them the whole time.
Oh, and by the way, Black Phillip is Satan.
Yeah, and like, and that number one, like that, really that to me cheapened the experience a little bit, and also there's an interesting there's that 3-part YouTube series like that In Praise of Shadows did.
Oh yeah.
About witches and pop culture and stuff.
Yeah, and
he brings up a very valid point that technically, especially in the age that we are of, what was it, 2019? When did it come out?
That would have been 2020. I think that video came out.
No, I'm talking about the
Witch.
2017.
Yes, I believe it was 2017 because The Lighthouse was 2019. I think.
So
yeah.
From a modern perspective and what we know about the witch hunts and the witch trials that went on in America specifically.
Yeah.
Having it actually turn out to be witches at the end kind of kind of makes it a little harmful, just in the public perception of what.
Like, I can agree with you to an extent, but also like you definitely get the impression that like with just like because her family and specifically her dad was like the whole reason they got sent out is because he was more religiously extreme than everyone else in the damn town. So you do get the impression that like they were already an incredibly superstitious lot, and a lot of the stuff that ended up happening, you feel like probably would have ended up happening eventually to one degree or another, even if there weren't any witches.
No, but and that's what I'm saying is you can leave it ambiguous as to whether or not you know that there is witches or not.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is the ambiguity could have been stronger.
Right.
In that one. Because that's the type of story that it was.
Yeah.
So that's where, yeah. So that's one that gave a definitive answer to the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it could have been more ambiguous. The Lighthouse had a really good balance of it. And then the Northman, I keep wanting to call it the Norseman.
The Norseman?
Not wrong.
No.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
The Northmen could have committed more to saying that the fantasy elements were actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, like they were definitely real to Amleth, I would say. They were real to the characters within the story for sure.
I'm saying real in general. Like if they actually were happening or if it was a hallucination.
Right. No, I could dig that.
Because, like, specifically, you seeing Satan that one time, is that a... did that really happen, or was it in your head?
Could be. It could have been. Yeah, I don't know. Could have been illicit substances.
I'm just saying... You probably...
That's actually a prime example, Ethan.
You're welcome.
That's really good. Just calling me out like that on the internet.
You brought... Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids. Give them to me.
Doing drugs is uncool.
Hi, we at A Feast of Films do not endorse other people doing drugs. If you're gonna hallucinate it, huff glue like the classic people did.
I don't think anyone who huff glue hallucinated.
Feast of Films does not endorse huffing glue. Anyways.
My point is, you clearly didn't actually see Satan.
Or did I? Maybe it opened up a portal, Ethan.
Right out of the ball.
Right out. Oh, God.
Isn't that basically the end of Tenacious D?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, he's just trying to challenge me to a rock-off.
And you're like, I don't play metal, I can't win this.
What do you want? You're asking the wrong guy. You might as well take me to hell. But no, then what would you say are like... Then what would you say then is a better example of the kind of high fantasy that you're looking for, I guess, within like modern sense? I know you're saying there aren't a whole lot of examples, but there's got to be something. Like,
well, again, because Lord of the Rings really kind of peaked that genre.
Yeah.
Krull. I really enjoy Krull.
Oh yeah, Krull's not exactly new though.
No, that's not. I'm not. I didn't think you were saying new. I thought.
Oh,
you were
talking in general. Because like one of my favorite fantasy films of all time is Conan the Barbarian.
That's not new either.
Yeah, so
you said new.
We're opening it up.
Oh, apparently, according to this, Morbius is considered fantasy.
Is the fantasy that Sony was going to make money in that second weekend?
Yes.
We're punching up, folks. It's fine.
Yeah, this the list of fantasy movies on Google is not great.
Well, and here's the thing,
because it's like got like Spider-Man and Star Wars and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, because like
I guess Disney movies that would count as fantasy. No one really thinks
like
about
Moana,
that,
like Moana and all that. Yeah,
but not even that. Like even like the live action remakes of Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. Technically, that stuff is fantasy.
yeah. Like, I guess here's the question though, because like it's. I know the MCU's definitely gotten very homogenized as far as like the genre, because like it's kind of just like Marvel is the genre, you know. But it's like, do you consider the Thor movies to be fantasy?
No, not overly.
Like the closest one,
They're
like
more science fiction. Even the first and second one.
yeah, because even like when you get to the third one, it definitely like leans more into that like
Space travel.
yeah. Well, no, like where you get the different planets and like the like more of the Asgard history stuff. Like even then, it's still there's that undercurrent of they're still aliens technically. So like within the context of the MCU, like it's like we're just from a different galaxy, but we have these technologies that are perceived as fantasy. But then by the time you get to Thor Ragnarok, it's like, oh yeah, no, we're gods. They're just straight up they're gods. So
because yeah, even looking up fantasy and looking up like there's a list of like top 10 fantasy movies, and like a lot of the stuff wouldn't be stuff I consider as fantasy.
well, what we
Like
got
Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does he talk?
Yeah, he's a talking sheep.
Yeah, that's a fantasy thing.
That's a stretch though. When you talk about fantasy,
It's not high fantasy.
no, but when you talk about fantasy, do you really consider like every talking animal movie?
I mean, I guess it depends.
Like is Beverly Hills Chihuahua a fantasy movie?
Do they talk to people?
I think so. Yes.
Then it's a fantasy movie. Because it's not reality. Unless these are some very smart dogs.
Kung Fu Hustle, is that a fantasy movie?
Kung Fu Hustle, yeah. I mean, Kung Fu Hustle is like live action anime.
See, but then again, I feel like that gets encompassed by more of another genre.
Like
How to Train Your Dragon, that's a fantasy movie.
yes, it specifically has those fantasy tropes.
And they're really lumping in like horror movies as well.
Well, like, because there are a lot of horror movies that do have fantasy elements. Like Freddy, like, would you consider Freddy Krueger to be, like, that's kind of a fantasy concept at the end of the day. Like, especially, like, Dream Warriors has a very, like, kind of like fantasy adventure type feel to it, where they're going after Freddy in their dreams and shit.
They're counting Hugo as a fantasy movie.
See, and I wouldn't see like that. It's a heightened, like it's definitely heightened reality for sure. Like,
But it's not fantasy.
It's not
That's-
fantasy.
I think that's kind of what my point is it's not... There are things that are fantasy... Like, counted the Lighthouse is fantasy.
I mean, yeah, like again, it's a folk tale. Same with like the witch and like the Northman is like a mythological tale.
The Lego movie?
That the weird thing about the Lego movie though is it's like again it's
Avatar?
no, that's clearly science fiction.
Yeah,
Like-
and that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between...
Like, but it's like then it's like we talk about because the thing is there's no fantasy elements to Avatar, like because everything is explained with science, whereas with like again with Star Wars the Force, whatever midichlorians, whatever, like it's very clearly like there was some space magic going on there, you know, like that's why that kind of falls under like kind of space opera fantasy type deal. But Avatar, they explain how everything works in Avatar. There's no like weird happenings where you're like, oh, how did the person come out of this thing? It's like, no, like there's a very clear, what they will say about Avatar, they very clearly explain how the world works of Pandora.
Pandora.
Not Pandorum is the horror movie.
Yes. It's a Wonderful Life they're counting as a fantasy movie, and like I definitely wouldn't count that.
Well,
What do you mean, well?
like an angel comes down and makes like time travels
Or
with
was
him.
it a dream?
Or was it a dream? I don't know, man. Like
Inside Out. They're counting Inside Out as a fantasy movie.
Ethan, we meet the angels before we meet Jimmy Stewart.
George Bailey thing.
George Bailey. Merry Christmas.
They're counting Inside Out, which is definitely a weird. I wouldn't count that as fantasy either.
I'd say that's science fiction, if anything.
Yeah.
No, It's a Wonderful Life is totally a fantasy movie.
I would not say it's a fantasy movie.
We meet the angels before we meet George Bailey.
I don't understand.
We meet God, for God's sake.
Is God a fantasy?
Depends who you talk to.
All right, there's a debate for the ages in the comments. Is God a fantasy?
The views of this podcast do not necessarily reflect our views. Anyway,
my point is that, like, looking specifically to the internet for a definition of fantasy is honestly not the place to go.
Yeah,
because it's a very broad thing that anything that's a heightened reality or more than reality.
Because you consider like the Doctor Strange movies fantasy, or like
since those involve magic, I'd say
yeah, but
they're like including Toy Story as fantasy.
Well, no, Toy Story is clearly the evolution of a science fiction universe.
Yes,
as has been discussed with the Pixar timeline. It goes Toy Story.
Nope.
To Cars,
Nope.
to Wall-E.
No,
everyone knows that. Look it up.
But when you think, okay, then, so bringing it back, when you think about fantasy, what criteria is there when you think about your favorite fantasy movies or just even properties?
Well, because to me, like, oftentimes, like. Because it's like if we're talking like high fantasy.
I'm talking fantasy, period. Like, define high fantasy versus regular fantasy?
Well, regular fantasy, to me, would be like. High fantasy is like, this is a completely different world than our own. Like, the rules are different, that kind of thing. And then to me, like, low fantasy, if you could call it that, just since we're categorizing things, would be that the fantastical elements are being brought into our world, and there's like an undercurrent of the fantasy element. Like, I would say like the Hellboy movies are like lower fantasy because it's like it's the world that exists underneath our world, you know? Whereas if you look at something like Conan the Barbarian or Lord of the Rings, that's like you're going into Middle Earth is not our world, you know?
Debatable.
Yes,
there's actually a lot of theory surrounding the history, that basically Tolkien was writing a history for our world.
Oh, like he was trying to build, like, British mythology or something like that? I mean, yeah, like, maybe, but also, like, I don't know, man. It seems pretty sus to me.
What does that even mean?
I'm just like I don't know. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say like that could eventually turn into our world, you know?
No, that's the basic premise of it, though.
Like that's like Frodo is British Jesus.
No.
I'm just kidding.
You don't even listen. You don't even listen, man.
I am listening. I am. But it's like to me, it's like the story takes place in a very clear, like, other world than ours. And that to me is like what high fantasy is. Like Krull is like, that is high fantasy to me because like it's Zardoz. No, because Zardoz is clearly science fiction. Because it takes place in the future of our world, and like a lot of weird shit has happened.
Is that why Planet of the Apes would be science fiction, not fantasy?
Yes, because like Planet of the Apes would be fantasy until you get to the end of the movie. It's like, oh, it's Earth.
See, but then I have a counter for you. King Arthur. King Arthur would be not fantasy at all then, by your definition.
Well, King Arthur is real. Everyone knows that. That's what Michael Bay taught me. That's the weirdest thing about the Transformers movies is like, oh yeah, King Arthur's real and he fought Decepticons alongside the Dinobots.
I mean, King Arthur being real is a pretty standard thing in most like fictional things or most movies or TV shows.
Yeah, like to the point where like it's almost like because there are a lot of people who think like Robin Hood was real too. Like it's like these characters that like almost
Sir Robin of Locksley.
Because they get talked about enough and like there's enough adaptations of their story and like it almost gets like merged into the history of the world to a certain extent. Because I guarantee you there are people who probably like just by osmosis are probably like, oh yeah, like King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, those guys clearly were real.
Apparently, Robin Hood was created by anonymous balladeers.
Anonymous balladeers?
So people would go around singing about King Arthur, and people were just like, "Oh man, King Arthur, Robin Hood," and being like, "Oh, cool. I guess that guy's real."
Yeah. So it's like the fantasy infiltrating reality, so to speak. So that's kind of an interesting idea there too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think having it based in the real world really negates the fantasy of it, you know?
Fair enough. No, I can agree with that. But it's like... But I guess at the end of the day, that doesn't really answer your question. Like, as far as, like... Because what was your original question? It's the idea of, like, movies that I consider to be fantasy.
Yeah, like, when you think about fantasy movies, like what criteria falls into just a fantasy movie, period? Like, what criterias make it what you would consider a fantasy? Because bringing up Hellboy, I would never consider that a fantasy movie. That's a superhero movie with some fantasy elements to it.
I guess so, like, but, like, how much of that is because it's based on a comic book? Like, the medium of the story. Like, Hellboy clearly is, like, based a lot in fantasy. Just with all the different, like, creatures and all that.
You could say that about any superhero, though.
I guess so. Like, well, no, because, like, Superman falls way more into, like, science fiction.
Yeah.
Obviously. Like, the only heroes I can really think that, like...
Dr. Fate?
Yeah.
Etrigan the Demon?
Yes. Etrigan.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, those are still core superhero characters.
Well, because again, like comic book universes are kind of like a weird mishmash of like horror, fantasy, and science fiction concepts kind of like merging into one melting pot. So
yeah,
it's kind of gets hazy there. But like,
well, and that's kind of what I'm saying with Hellboy. Is like I would consider him to be a superhero over being a fantasy creature.
Yeah, but it's like pretty I guess like by that
like Universal monster movies.
Yeah,
they're clearly fantastical creatures, but they're horror before they are fantasy.
Yeah, but like they're creatures that like well specifically for vampires and werewolves, they are creatures that have their start in folklore and like therefore are more fantastical.
Yes, but then their stories themselves are based around horror and the horror that comes from that.
Yeah. Because, like, Dog Soldiers is not a fantasy movie.
But by your definition right now, it is.
Yeah. But, like, it is more of an action movie first than it is a fantasy. So, like, I can agree with that, too.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, what exactly criteria is a fantasy? Because it can't just be creatures, because then pretty much every movie is a fantasy at some point or another.
Yeah. That's getting into like that's like some hardcore semantics though. But like
is it semantics?
Well, because like because Conan the Barbarian is clearly like maybe it's like the inclusion of magic. Maybe that's the defining factor. How much like magic and like fate and all that is unraveled into the story that makes it more fantasy.
I think you hit the nail on the head a while ago though. It's like what can be explained and what can't be explained.
Yeah.
Like the happenstances that do explain.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think there's a specific tone that is a fantasy movie
Yeah.
tone as opposed to being a sci-fi or a horror or an action.
Yeah.
And fantasy is like, because fantasy can be its own genre.
Yeah. But oftentimes I would say fantasy also kind of falls into the adventure movie category as well.
Well, and that's usually the thing. A lot of fantasies involve quests.
Yeah. We have to seek the Holy Grail, or I need to kill the wizard that killed my mother. Like things like that. Yeah. So that definitely kind of falls into that category. Well, I guess the Harry Potter by that definition too.
I said Harry Potter at the very beginning.
Yep.
I think that's like, and that's the newest version of fantasy, but even if you think about it, it's still pretty non-fantastical fantasy.
Yeah, well, because of that, it is very, like, based in the real world. To that degree, you know? Because, like, when they're not at Hogwarts, they're in the real, like, Harry's in the real world, Hermione goes back to her regular parents, that kind of thing. So, but I think that also makes it relatable to an extent, because it's like, oh, these people are just living their regular lives, and like, oh, we get to go to the cool school place now.
Cool school.
Cool school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know it's not very good, but like, Aragon as well is another one that's like very clearly a fantasy. It's not a good movie by any means, but
well, a lot of these are based off books, right?
yeah.
But that's why I think, going back to it, like, my original thought was just about sword and sorcery films.
Yeah.
And, like, that would encompass Lord of the Rings, The Northman,
Conan, The Green Knight,
Krull.
But there's
Stand by Zardoz.
Sorry.
Excalibur,
yes, very much so. Like most like King Arthur stories, I see. Technically, Monty Python and the Holy Grail would fall into that as well, even though it's more of a parody. But
my name is Tim.
Tim, greetings, Tim. Welcome to Castle Anthrax. Castle Anthrax. Couldn't think of a name. Yeah. But yeah, like for sword and sorcery though, I guess like why do you think it's kind of gone away, so to speak? Like, because it never really took off. You would assume like after something like Lord of the Rings, like there would be like a lot of people trying to make movies.
I think that budgetary is a huge thing.
Yeah, because again, you have to you got to build everything, you know.
And it's really specifically with specifically when it comes to sword and sorcery stuff, when it comes to that thing, those kind of things, they can look cheap really easily.
Yes. Oh, freaking Willow. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Which is coming back.
Yes, it is. Dragonheart. Forgot about Dragonheart.
Yes, Dragonheart.
I love Dragonheart.
Would you consider Highlander a sword and sorcery movie?
Yes.
Even though like it does it takes place in modern day primarily, but like it has its roots in like history, you know?
Yeah. Well, like, so the other weird one too, and this is where it starts kind of crossing over though.
Mm-hmm.
There's sword and sorcery, and then there's sword and sandal films.
Yes.
Which you would 100% you would consider some of those, like Clash of the Titans, to be that's a fantasy.
Yeah, I would say that's a sword and shield. Like
sword and sandal, right?
Or sword like,
or would you
that one is sword and sorcery for sure. Like
but then
Clash
Spartacus is
sword and sandal.
And that's
I guess it's like are they wearing shoes or do they have wands? That's the question.
Shoes or wands.
Because
okay, so then Jason and the Argonauts.
That's sword and sorcery.
Okay. 10 Commandments.
sword and sorcery.
Let my
People go. Dude makes a snake, man. I mean, come on.
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, technically speaking, Army of Darkness would be a sword and sorcery movie. It's just like, but it's like the subversion of the sword and sorcery movie, because it's like, what if you had that, like, quest, like the quest to ancient medieval movie, but then you dropped, like, the 80s action douchebag into it. And that's what you get with Army of Darkness.
Looking at this, just a list, Lord of the Rings isn't on here, which is kind of weird. But, like, we've talked about it to death before, where Lord of the Rings is just kind of on its own
Yeah, in the same
tier.
in the same way that Star Wars is, yeah. Like, it's so much...
Oh, Lady Hawk is another one I gotta show you.
Yeah, I haven't... That's one I do need to watch.
Legend.
Yep, Legend. Well, Legend, I would say, is more like just a straight-up fantasy.
Yeah, but I'd say Sword and Sorcery as well.
Yeah.
It looks like the 80s were kind of the big... The 80s is really when Sword and Sorcery was around.
Yeah, well, because again, that was like... The 80s was just kind of like the upswing in genre filmmaking for the most part. Whether it was like science fiction, fantasy, or horror, like...
Heavy metal.
Absolutely.
Like the movie Heavy Metal.
Well, heavy metal, again, that's...
That's a trip.
Yes, it is. But that one I would say like is like a mix of fantasy and science fiction. Because that was the whole thing with those comic books, kind of like merger of the two.
Is Deathstalker the one we need to watch at some point?
Deathstalker? The Deathstalker movies are not particularly great, but
Is that the ones we need to watch though, because they're not particularly great?
I mean, yeah, I'm down. I'm down to watch Deathstalker.
And then it was The Sword and the Sorcerer was the other one? Or?
Yeah, the one that like recently got a 4K from Shout Factory or something like that. Just this random movie.
Freaking Wizards. That's a weird one.
Wizards?
It's a Ralph Bakshi
Oh,
film.
right, yeah, that's the one you were telling me about.
There's a lot of really weird Ralph Bakshi movies.
Yep.
Um,
I actually just rewatched The Last Unicorn.
How was that?
It brought up...
It's weird, right?
It's an incredibly weird movie, but it, like, man, rewatching it now, I'm like, why was I allowed to watch this movie? It is incredibly, like it talks about, like, super, like, adult, like, stuff. Like...
I'll call up your parents and be like, Mom, Dad,
What the hell? Flight of Dragons?
That one I've never seen.
I think you would like Flight of Dragons, but, like, Flight of Dragons is weird because, like, it's like this fantasy movie, but, like, a lot of stuff get, like, the way they explain how dragons work in that universe, I think is really interesting, because they have very clear, like, rules as to how they fly and how they breathe fire and how those two things are connected, and, like, that one is very interesting, but, like, the main character is, like, a science nerd that, like, gets sucked into the fantasy world, and then he is turned into a dragon. It's very weird.
Reign of Fire. Because, like, no, right? But
it's not.
But also dragons, and they don't explain. They're just like, no, dragons have always existed.
Oh yeah, they took out the dinosaurs. Like, did they? I guess the asteroid didn't do a whole lot. Yeah, it's like yeah. But, like, again, feudalism kind of comes back. And, like, they literally are living in a castle. But, like, it's very clearly not fantasy at all. Because, like, you got the dudes who, like, have helicopters and, like, they take out dragons by jumping out, like, doing...
Yeah, the Americans.
Yeah, the Americans. The only thing worse than dragons. Yeah, like, I don't know about Reign of Fire. I don't know how I would... But there is a quest in Reign of Fire. Like, wow, we have to kill what is it, the Alpha or whatever? Like, the big bad to kill off the dragons or something like that.
There's something, I don't remember. I haven't seen
it. It's been a while since I've watched Reign of Fire. Underrated. Not a great movie, but underrated.
I would say it's a pretty good movie.
It's one of those ones where it's like... I think we've discussed it before, where it's like, it's a movie that, like, is almost great, but it doesn't quite reach it. It's like Highlander. Like,
Well, okay, so that's a question too. When you think about fantasy movies,
Mhm.
and you think about sword and sorcery, you think about that stuff.
Mhm.
What are the greats? Like Lord of the Rings clearly. Even then, like, because I'd be like, oh well, Narnia. Well, the first Narnia, sure, but after that, they kind of petered off.
yeah.
Um,
Well, again, like excluding Lord of the Rings, but like I would say as far as like influence and all that, I would say Conan is one of the great fantasy films.
Even then, I wouldn't consider it, like, looking back at it, I wouldn't consider it a great movie.
Conan is a great movie. It is fantastic.
If you had to show someone the definitive fantasy movie, like, what would
it'd be Lord of the Rings. I know, like, excluding Lord of the Rings, but it's like, if we couldn't choose Lord of the Rings...
If you had to show someone a digestible movie that isn't 3 hours long... Like, I love Lord of the Rings, and I love marathoning them. But if you...
I mean, you could just show them the theatrical cut. You could just show them...
There's only one cut.
Right, I forgot. The only way to watch Lord of the Rings is to commit 10 hours of
12.
your life, 12 hours of your life to watching it.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Honestly, yeah, that's actually, that's really...
It's a great gateway.
It's kind of everyone's
movie.
gateway. Like,
yeah.
Everyone watched it when they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 300. Do you consider...
No, 300 is not... No.
That's the thing. It's based off a true event, but the comic book is so over the top that it's like it becomes fantasy, but it's not... It's based on a real thing that happened, but it's so over the top. So, like, is it sword and sandals or it's sword and sorcery? But I would say it falls more into sword and sandal at the end of the day because, like, it's over the top, but it's based on reality, heightened reality.
Would you consider Scorpion King?
Scorpion King, yes, absolutely, is a sword and sorcery. The dude literally becomes a Scorpion Man in The Mummy 2.
That's The Mummy 2.
Yes. Oh, the Mummy.
No, that transitions into horror movies.
Oh, fair enough. But the Scorpion King, yeah, those would be the weird, like, because eventually didn't like the WWE start producing those?
Oh yeah, no, and they're up to like
at one point Randy Couture was the Scorpion King, and then like, yeah, like there's like 5 Scorpion King movies now or something like that.
Yeah, I've lost count.
Yep, I stopped caring, frankly. The Last Witch Hunter.
Spine of Night.
Spine of Night, that's that animated one that I was trying to watch, and like I appreciated its style, but I just couldn't get hooked into it like I was hoping I would. But it's very much got that like kind of like animated Lord of the Rings type of like almost rotoscope but not really type feel to it.
They need to get their big meaty claws into you.
Yes. But it didn't quite catch me like I thought it was going to. At the end of the day.
I mean, that is fair.
Yes.
Fair.
The Princess Bride.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually shocked that we hadn't brought the Princess Bride to the...
That's inconceivable.
You keep saying that word, but it doesn't mean what you... Wait.
I don't think it means what
do
you think it means.
Yep. The Dread Pirate Roberts.
And Inigo Montoya.
You still gotta get, was it Princess...
Buttercup?
Princess Buttercup and Andre the Giant.
Fezzik.
Fezzik?
Fezzik.
I couldn't remember his name. I just know he's Andre the Giant.
These were the only 2 that they had.
Well, shit, man.
No kiss.
Just stabbed him.
I mean, it's on brand for the movie.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
King Kong, is he fantasy or is he
Well, no, King Kong...
Is he science fiction?
He's a monster. He's a big monster.
Yeah, well, you were saying earlier that science that all monsters are.
No, not all monsters. Like,
You said Freddy Krueger.
a guy who kills you in your dreams is a fantasy.
Ah, but a
type
dream
thing.
is a wish your heart makes.
I don't think that's true.
I think that's true. It's in a Disney song, and Disney understands fantasy better than everybody. I guess we're dummies. We're dummies. What's the biggest fantasy movie for introducing someone to fantasy? I don't know. Any Disney movie? Really?
We're dum-dums. Well, because we were thinking about live action, right? Like, we were specifically thinking live action
They've
movies.
done live action.
Like a Willow.
Go Willow.
Go Willow. Go Willows.
Go Willows.
Yes.
Crap, there was one I was actually
goes
just thinking
Beauty
about.
and the Beast.
But they have Sorcerer's Apprentice.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
They have like an old
Nicolas Cage.
Black Cauldron.
Black Cauldron. Dark Crystal.
That's not Disney.
Well, no, but it's came
That's
around the same time.
not Disney. That's Jim Henson.
Jim Henson.
Yeah. It's like saying
Still-
Labyrinth.
I was just running out fantasy movies, man. Labyrinth. Oh fuck! How have we not talked about Labyrinth at all? But that's a weird movie. That movie will also traumatize you when you're a kid.
Well, same with Neverending Story, but
Yep. Never-ending story.
I had such strong hands meant for holding, and I couldn't hold on to my friends with my strong hands.
Oh yeah. How?
Big, strong hands.
I bet you did. I know it's the rock biter. Big, strong hands.
Superman.
Well, that's clearly a,
Science fiction.
yes, Iron Giant.
A science fantasy.
But yeah, no, a lot of it, though, the Disney movies like Cinderella, Snow White,
I'm so dumb. I'm like,
Pinocchio.
no, you're like Cinderella. I'm like, how is Cinderella a fantasy? What is fantastical
maybe the
about
part where-
fairy godmother? Maybe.
Yeah, and her friggin' mice and bird friends.
Oh, that's anthropomorphic animal. That just happened.
Oh, yes, of course.
I forgot about the fairy godmother. I'm so tired.
Yep.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty. Snow White.
I keep questioning every time you say something. I'm like, no, how? And it's like literally staring me in the face.
Hercules.
It's more of a mythological piece.
Oh. Which is true. But then Clash of the Titans doesn't count. I mean, Clash of the Titans is not based on a specific myth. It's just kind of one they made up.
It's based off of a couple of different ones. Perseus and
Yep.
I think we can all agree the greatest fantasy movie though.
Ghost.
Why Ghost? You've never seen it.
I've never seen. Listen.
I'm gonna have a breakdown.
Listen, I think a lot of people have fantasies about Patrick Swayze, okay? There are plenty of people who probably fantasize about being haunted by Patrick Swayze.
Oh no, Ghost Swayze's in my house.
Oh, I better go to the pottery room.
It's the only way to fight him off.
Oh no!
Oh, I'm making pots with Ghost Swayze.
Oh, here come his hands.
His big, strong hands.
Well, that's...
Well, we all know the truest fantasy movie / series ever.
Yes. Supernatural.
No.
Oh.
I don't know if I want to tell you. I think I want you to try and guess it.
What, the series?
Yeah, it's a movie series, but
A movie series, true fantasy.
yeah, it's like the fantasy series that everyone should have seen.
That's not Lord of the Rings.
It's not Lord of the Rings. You can ask me questions to figure out what it is too. If you can guess it before him, I mean, we won't be able to tell because this is pre-recorded. But
Okay, well, what's the... Well, give me a hint.
no, I gave you a hint. It's fantasy, and it's a series of movies.
It's not Star Wars.
Nope. You can ask questions too. This is a game now. This is the kind of show we've evolved into.
It's a game show. Ghostbusters?
That's science fiction.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, they create science to fight the ghosts.
It's science fiction.
No, it's what if
They don't fight it with magic.
Yeah, but
That's not. It's not.
no,
It's not
bunch of,
Ghostbusters.
No, it's a bunch of nerds that
not
are like,
Ghostbusters.
oh, we can capture ghosts.
It's Stranger Things fantasy.
Well, no, clearly not. But it's clearly based in like metaphysics and like the upside down and like anti-reality and all that stuff.
Clearly metaphysics. Jesse Prosser, the expert on metaphysics, has confirmed.
Actually,
Here, let me borrow this.
yeah, let me put these on again.
Yep.
Ruin my eyes. Actually, oh god.
I hope you learned a valuable lesson.
Oh, my eyes.
But no, the answer is not Ghostbusters. Continue guessing.
Is it Halo?
No, it's not Halo. It's a science fiction series.
The Witcher?
No. You can ask me questions about the series as well.
Well, you
can ask me for hints.
Does it take place in its own reality?
Yes.
Is it like a historical type of thing?
No.
Well, it's like modern reality,
No.
but it's its own world.
Yes.
Narnia?
No.
Narnia? Is it Narnia or Narnia? Does it depend on the accent?
I mean Narnia because we're Canadian.
Narnia.
Narnia is...
Narnia. Not
Yeah, it's because they have
Narnia.
accents. Don't bully these children.
Oh, Harry Potter.
No.
Oh. It's not Harry Potter. But...
It's not Harry Potter.
How many installments are there? Is this going to be the cheap thing where you say the Bible?
No.
Are you going to say Passion of the Christ?
No.
Oh.
There are 4.
There's 4 of them. Lethal Weapon.
Nope.
Oh.
It's not Scream either.
It's not Scream. Well, Scream is completely real.
Scream?
Scream? 4 of them. Fantasy. It's not the Avengers. I don't know. Thor's there.
I really hope some people have guessed this before you already.
Yeah, put down in the comments and I'll track the viewership. We'll see if people guessed properly.
If they make it this far.
If they make it this far. People are like, oh, time to sit down and listen to them discuss high art cinema, and then it's just evolved into schlock once again.
That's kind of our shtick.
That is our shtick. It's what we do.
Yep.
Have I seen these movies?
Yes.
Recently?
Yeah.
Like, how recent are they? Did these come out in the 90s?
No.
Came out in 2000s.
Yes.
So they're recent. Like 2000, like the odds or the tens?
The what?
People call the 2000 to 2009 the odds.
The aughts.
Aughts.
The aughts.
Oh, whatever. You know
O-U-G-H-T.
You know what I meant.
Or A-U-G-H-T.
Okay, well, what is it?
Yeah, and that. And both. I think a little bit of both. It's a film series that came out throughout.
Indiana Jones?
No.
Oh, there's 4 of them. They're kind of fantasy. Yeah, you jerk. Mad Max.
No.
Oh.
It's a movie that everybody should see.
4 of them. 4 of them fantasy. This is gonna drive me crazy.
It's driving me absolutely batty.
Protagonist?
What do you mean protagonist?
Wait, who's the protagonist?
I'm not gonna tell you who the protagonist is.
Oh God.
That's like hey, I'm trying to guess a movie. Who is the main character?
Do you own these movies?
Yes.
Oh well. Is it?
You just know that's cheating.
No, I won't look. Do I own these movies?
Yes.
Oh man.
I think you do.
Creep Show.
No, there's only 3 of those.
Plus a TV show.
I mean, if you really want, I can mention the fact that there have been spin-offs of this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Exorcist.
Nope.
Oh. There's 4 of them. Man Ray. Godzilla.
No.
Oh,
Yes, there are only 4 Godzilla movies.
well, no, the new ones there are.
When did those start?
2014. I don't know. Listen.
He's not even paying attention to the questions he asked.
Yes, I did.
He's like, give me hints. And I'm like, here you go. And he's like, I'm ignoring those hints.
Is it Silence of the Lambs?
No.
There's 4 of them. Ethan, have the lambs stopped screaming?
They gotta stop real quick now.
I don't know. Like, who's the lead actor?
No, I'm not telling you that
Oh my
either.
god!
That's...
What can I? What, are they more actiony?
There's some action in it.
Is there water?
Is there water?
Yes, they traverse rivers and lakes.
There's water in the third one.
In the third one.
Yeah, they travel water in the third one.
Oh, and travel water in the third one.
Yes.
Fantasy.
Yes.
Is it animated?
Yes.
Oh man.
I'm surprised that wasn't one of your first questions.
Well, I don't know. I was about to be a smart ass and say Conan, but I know it's not the right answer.
It's not Conan.
It's not Conan.
There are 4 of those, though.
No, there aren't.
Yeah, there are.
Well, I guess technically if you count Red Sonja, there's 4 of them.
It's Red Sonja is completely counted in there.
It's a non-canon that Arnold is playing Conan in that movie.
It's non-canon for Conan?
It's non-Conan. Canon. The confusion. Some more horror animated.
Nope.
The rescuers.
No.
The Rescuers Down Under.
No, why? Those are set in the real world.
Oh, fantasy.
Yes, and it's set in its own world.
Is it Disney?
No.
Is it Warner Brothers?
No.
Paramount?
No.
Well, you got to give me something here. What studio produced them?
I'm not telling you. It's
Oh my god! Dear viewer, if we don't get a question of the day, it's Ethan's fault.
It's right in his face too. Like it's very obvious. You agree, right?
You said it wasn't Star Wars.
Oh, it's not Star Wars.
It's not Back to the Future.
No.
It's not American Werewolf in London. How is it right in my face?
Because you should know. You should know. Out of anybody I know, you should know.
I'm gonna feel really stupid.
You're gonna feel really.
Who directed?
Andrew Adamson.
Who?
Exactly.
Are they based on books?
Yes.
It's not Narnia.
Nope.
It's not.
But fun fact, he directed the first Narnia. This is killing me, folks.
Who wrote the books?
That I don't know.
Oh.
I can find out.
It's not.
No, I'm not going to find out because you'll peek my screen, you
Not
cheater.
Monty Python.
No. But a member of Monty Python was in the third movie.
What the hell?
Oh, and...
Shrek?
Yeah.
Is it Shrek?
And a member of Monty Python was in the second and third movie.
What the hell? I don't know why I didn't think of Shrek.
Why didn't you think
so
of Shrek,
there's
like...
been all... Yeah, it's got spin-offs and
Like several
Oh
spin-offs.
my god. The fuck? Why didn't I even think of Shrek?
I have no idea, man.
Maybe I don't... Maybe because Shrek is life.
Shrek
So
is love, yes.
Shrek is life. So I just assume that Shrek is...
Well, as someone who likes to get Shrek'd, I thought you would really be on that. Like,
and
you did just watch the first one.
I haven't gotten Shrek since college. Too.
No, you and Trent watched the first Shrek like a while ago, like
No, I
about a
didn't.
month ago.
No, I didn't watch the first Shrek a while ago.
Yeah, I came home. You guys were watching Shrek.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I was watching Shrek. I watched Shrek recently, but I don't think I watched it in the last couple months.
Wait, how long is recently for you?
Also, it explains why I couldn't, like, remember the third one at all, because I watched it once in theaters and I gave up.
That's not
And
changing.
I
You
never
changed the
watched
subject.
the third one, so...
What is frequently for you?
I don't know, like, within the last year?
Yeah, you guys watched within the last year.
I don't know.
It was in this house. We haven't lived here for a year yet.
I don't know. I don't remember. It probably happened. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, you're not wrong.
Shrek is the ultimate fantasy series that people should watch.
Excluding Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Is it because, well, Shrek
is the most accessible fantasy series.
I feel like you get more out of Shrek if you've watched like those those Disney animated movies that it's like kind of riffing off of, though.
No, I don't think so. Especially the first two.
I don't know, man. They play off of a lot of that stuff. Like having a prior knowledge of a lot of like fantasy tropes definitely.
Well, having a knowledge of fantasy tropes, but at the same time, in general, a lot of the jokes aren't fantasy based.
The thing is, like, you'd have to find somebody who had never watched a Disney movie before and sit them down to watch Shrek and see how they reacted.
But the thing is, it's not about Disney movies in general. It's also like it's just having a basic knowledge of certain fantasy or storytellers. I guess. Like specifically, like what references are you thinking?
Well, it's like just a lot of the characters. Like
what?
Well, I guess there's also a lot of like Grimm's fairy tale type characters.
That's what I mean. Like at the end of the day.
I guess so.
Oh,
yeah.
the Brothers Grimm. Why haven't we?
Brothers Grimm.
The movie.
Oh yeah, it's not bad.
It's a great movie. It's so good.
Yeah, it's Terry Gilliam, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Another Monty Python.
Also, would you consider Pirates of the Caribbean to be fantasy?
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Especially that first one.
Well, the first one, then like again, like
it just gets weirder.
It gets so weird. I still haven't seen the fifth one.
Me neither. I need to rewatch the fourth one.
No, exactly. The fourth one, I think, is.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like it's not bad.
Ian McShane as Blackbeard.
Ian McShane, Blackbeard, perfect casting. He's fantastic.
But my point is, with Shrek, it's something that you don't need that prior knowledge, really.
Right.
Because as a kid, I didn't necessarily pick up on a lot of those jokes. I didn't necessarily go like, oh, that's a reference here, that's a reference there. They're their own characters based on their own reality. Mm-hmm. And a lot of their jokes, like, do you know the Muffin Man? It's funny because... The Muffin Man.
Yes, I know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane.
Well, she's married to the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
She's married to the Muffin Man.
My lord, we found it.
Oh, what are you waiting for? Bring it in! Magic mirror.
Don't tell them anything! No!
Not the gumdrop buttons!
That was the best debate we've ever actually had. Actually, that's the question of the day.
That's the question of the day.
Gingy's gumdrop buttons. What are they in relation to human anatomy?
Like, is that a question for them, or are we discussing? Because we've already discussed this off camera.
Off camera, yes, but not on camera. And I don't know if we ever reached a resolution, so it's a bit of both.
Like, are they his nipples? Or...
That's my theory is that it's his nipples.
I don't know, man. Like I took it as like his belly button. Like he's got an outie.
Does it go vroom?
No, that's an Audi. This is an Audi. It's Narnia.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Oh. Leviosa.
Or as Al Pacino would say,
Leviosa.
Leviosa.
I remember when Al Pacino was a Quidditch coach. We're gonna take the field one snitch at a time.
Oh, there's a snitch?
Snitch.
Well, we gotta catch him.
We gotta catch that snitch.
We'll teach him a lesson.
We're gonna teach him over there. We're gonna take him over there. We're gonna beat him with a quaffle. Harry, come here. You tell me if there was a snitch on the team, Harry.
Professor, we're supposed to catch the snitch.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Try to catch a snitch.
Is it Weasley?
Is it Weasley? He looks pretty Weasley to me. Is that rat bastard of his? Oh.
Oh, Vada Kedavra!
I don't know. You keep telling me there's a guy who should not be named. I don't trust someone who won't give me all the information.
Harry, what's his name?
What's his name? I know it was you, Harry. Oh, God. Now, see, that's how you jazz up those Fantastic Beasts movies. I want to see
Introduce Al Pacino
as a Quidditch coach. I need this to happen.
That, or you bring back Burgess Meredith.
Honestly, I would from the dead.
Yes.
Oh my God. He's a wrecking machine.
So anyway, back to Gingy's anatomy.
Yes. Because I don't know. Like, to me, it makes sense to just be like.
I think you originally said you thought they were his bowels or something. Like he was gonna be disemboweling him.
Yeah, basically.
And like I don't think so. Like I think it's his nipples. I stand by. I think
after we had discussed it, it's like because when the big one loses, he
just gets angry. He doesn't die.
He doesn't die.
He gets really mad, and if your nipples got burned off, you'd be pretty mad too.
That's true,
right?
Yeah. No, like it's definitely the nipples, but like,
which is really messed up when you think about it.
That their nipples are like.
No, that Lord Farquaad is gonna. I mean, to be fair, he just broke off his leg and crumpled it.
You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. You're
also,
a monster.
Also, John Lithgow.
Yes.
Such an unsuspecting performance.
Absolutely delightful.
So great.
Who was the fairy godmother in second one?
I don't actually know.
Is it Glenn Close?
No. It was Glenn Farr.
Glenn, wherever you are. Oh boy.
That's Glenn near.
Glenn Farr, wherever you are. Is Titanic a fantasy movie?
No.
Well, how else do you explain why she let him go?
I mean...
We all have fantasies of drowning Leonardo DiCaprio.
Jennifer Saunders.
Feast of Films does not want to drown Leonardo DiCaprio.
Just Jesse Prosser. And then you got Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots.
Yes, of course. Cameron Diaz, Fiona.
We can just go through the whole cast if you want.
No, but I just want to know who plays the fairy godmother.
I said Jennifer Saunders.
Jennifer Saunders. Well, who's Prince Charming?
Rupert Everett.
Rupert Everett?
Yes. Who was also in the Narnia movies as the fox.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. With James McAvoy.
Yes. As a shirtless Mr. Tumnus.
Yes. He's got to be shirtless, man.
Why does he have to be wearing a shirt, you know?
I guess so. Does he have a scarf?
Yes.
Famously. Oh. Shouldn't his scarf turn to stone as well when he does?
It did.
But didn't he give her the scarf?
No, he gave her a handkerchief.
Oh, I thought it was... I'm remembering those movies wrong.
Very much so.
I'm
not, because I memorized those books and movies and everything. I had a problem growing up, and that problem was Narnia. I loved that series.
It's a good series. Not bad.
I'm slowly beginning to forget like the obscure ones, like Last Battle.
Yeah. So obscure.
And Horse and His Boy. Those are like the two that like have been escaping my memory.
Aren't those like the first and the last ones chronologically? Oh no,
chronologically,
the silver chair is the first one.
No, chronologically.
Oh God.
Magician's Nephew.
Yes.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Okay.
Horse and His Boy. Prince Caspian. Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Silver Chair. And then The Last Battle. However, they were written in the order of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Prince Caspian. Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Silver Chair. Then Horse and His Boy. Magician's Nephew. Last Battle.
Okay. I would not have known that. So.
Yes.
Yeah, but yes, so Lord Farquaad was torturing Gingy's nipples. This is what we're trying to get at here. That's the resolution of the question.
Well, again, like your leg's been broken, but then someone decides to cut off your nipple. I mean, like
that's just adding insult to injury.
All
really.
right, I'll tell you. Do you have a question of the day? Because I feel like we need a better one than Gingy's nipples.
I don't remember. Trying to think.
I would love to do an in-depth like discussion and talk on Shrek, like the series, like sit down and watch.
Coming soon to a feast of films.
We did Alien. Let's do the next best thing.
Yeah, Shrek. We'll do Shrek next. The intricacies of the filmmaking of Shrek.
Only if you dress up as Shrek.
I don't have to paint myself green, do I?
Completely green.
No, I'll dress. I'll get a Shrek-esque costume, but I will not paint myself green.
Well, you're just not committing. Think about the kids.
If this video,
think of the kids.
If this video gets 1,000 views, I will paint myself green, and we will discuss Shrek.
I feel like you should set it more reasonable.
No, 1,000.
I feel like 100.
If it gets 1,000 views,
we split
within a month.
500.
No. I will say 750 views. If we get 750...
250.
No, 750 views...
250.
In a month, I will dress up and paint myself green to discuss Shrek.
250.
No, 750. That 500. Is ironclad.
500. Final offer.
No. 700.
500.
You 700, take it or leave
450, take it or leave
then it. Then I'm not doing it.
Then I'm not doing it either.
Okay, you weren't doing anything. You would have, yeah. If
that's the thing. You never offered for me to do anything.
I'll do it if you. No, but that's easy for you. If you dress up like Donkey, like you buy a donkey costume and wear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this thing, you would do it. That's not embarrassing for you.
I don't see what's embarrassing about being a beloved character. Really, like.
I don't know. That's a lot of effort to paint myself green.
Not really. We fill the bathtub full of paint and just dip you in.
I'm not doing it. You want to ruin our bathtub?
I'll clean it.
Okay. Oh, sure you will. Okay. But yeah, no. I'm trying to think of another question of the day here.
I like that you're acting like I wouldn't be the one painting you either. Lead-based paint.
Lead-based? That'd be green forever.
Because you'd be dead.
Yes. How would just... He died how he lived.
Like Shrek?
Looking like Shrek. Getting Shreked.
Oh, your skin is peeling. I guess you are like an onion.
If you could take... Oh, no.
If we could take Oh No. Ping, ping.
Oh, no.
Ching.
If you could have one object from a fantasy movie, like it doesn't have to be a weapon or anything like that, but if you could have one magical object from a fantasy movie, what would you take?
Poison apple to end my suffering.
Oh, God. What the hell, man? Because I know what I would choose. It's kind of a cop-out, but...
What would you choose?
Mary Poppins' bag.
Is that really a fantasy?
It 100%. Mary Poppins is a
science fiction.
No, she's not the doctor. She's...
Could be.
She could be. But no, Mary Poppins' bag. You just, like, can you imagine how easy moving would be? You just toss everything in the bag. As long as it...
Oh, yeah, but at that point I could say I'll take Merlin's wand. It's the same thing. It's the same principle.
Merlin's wand causes more trouble than it's worth.
No, it doesn't. It gets them out of so many fixes.
Oh wait, no. I'm thinking of the Magician's Apprentice, where Mickey screws everything up with the wand.
He doesn't even have a wand. It's his.
No,
it's the hat.
Is it the hat?
Magical hat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the hat. Yeah. I was thinking of the Cookie Crisp wand from Community.
Which is a reference I don't even get, because the Cookie Crisp mascot wasn't even a wizard when I was a kid.
It was a
burglar. That's the weird choice, though, because you just want storage. Like, that's...
Listen, I got a lot of stuff. It's like, time to move my movie collection. Just...
What about, Can I have a specific room?
A room?
Yeah.
It's not an object.
It kind of is.
Well, what is it? And I'll say
The room of requirement from Harry Potter.
no.
It's the same answer as you in the bag.
That's a cop-out.
Also, Hermione's bag does exactly what Mary Poppins' bag does.
Okay, then choose that.
I'm just saying, you could, like, it's not really a...
I mean, actually, one of them Harry Potter ones would be kind of useful.
Well, like, but not really if you're a muggle.
I guess.
We've talked about this.
Well, no.
You're at best, you're a squib.
I see.
I didn't make that decision. That was a panel of judges.
How dare you? Yeah, it was.
But like, what?
It was very hurtful.
For what purpose are we talking about having this object? Like, is it just collectability? Are you saying from a fantasy universe or fantasy movie?
The same thing. We're discussing. We're discussing movies. We're discussing movies from a fantasy movie.
Yes, but is it a prop?
No,
like
it's
we're getting
the
a prop.
actual
We're getting
magical
the actual
object.
Item.
Clearly, I'm talking about the magical object because I'm like, because if I got Mary Poppins' bag, I try to put a lamp in it, it's gonna burst.
What?
Because she pulls a lamp out of it at one point.
I haven't seen Mary Poppins in so long.
What the hell, man?
I don't need a nanny anymore.
That's fair. Wait, that has nothing. Has nothing to do with anything.
That's why I haven't seen Mary Poppins in so long.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
I'm just trying to think, man. Just trying to think.
Because you don't want the One Ring, because, well, just be terrible.
Well, I mean, not really. Like, the most it would do in our world is turn us invisible.
Because there's no Sauron.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just the object. But, yeah, no. The One Ring would actually be kind of...
Invisibility. If I want that, I can just have...
The cloak of invisibility.
Without the trauma, yeah.
Yes. And you don't end up going to a weird, like, shadow realm.
Exactly. Because I want the Millennium Puzzle. That's what I...
That's kind of... It's time to...
What's wrong with him? Speech impediment.
It's time to...
Gosh, this is a tough question.
Right?
This is, because...
I had an easy answer.
I'm just trying to think of what fantasy objects are actually, like, worthwhile having.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have Mary Poppins' bag, like...
Like, I don't really need a sword from Lord of the Rings, because, like, if they glow blue, I mean, like, then I panic, because there's...
Orcs aren't supposed to be real.
Exactly. It's only when you're around.
Yes.
Some aggressive drinking.
Yes. Like, is there a fancy food you'd like to eat, or?
No, because there's not really... Well, because you don't necessarily get the powers associated with whatever item you get.
Well, no, it's just, like, it's the powers of whatever the item is.
Well, yeah, but a wand is dependent on what the wizard is.
Exactly, which is why I chose Mary Poppins' bag, because it's just a magic bag. The item itself is magic.
Wouldn't want her umbrella, because I'd probably die.
You be Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, and then I would fall to my death.
Well, not with that attitude.
Her grip strength must be just off the charts.
Probably. She's a supernatural being. We've discussed this. And it's like you could be like, oh, I'd have Mjolnir, but it's like, what if I'm not worthy? Useless. Just a paperweight.
Well, I don't really need... There's not really a cause for me to own a weapon.
No, exactly. Like, because everybody would be like, oh, I'd have a...
Like, realistically speaking, like, the bag is the only worthwhile thing you can have.
Yeah.
No, I'd like one of those tents from Harry Potter.
Oh, what about the tents?
Yeah, like, they're bigger on the inside. Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
Right?
Yep. What about the cloak from Doctor Strange?
Again,
I guess it's a sentient being, but
again, I would probably die.
but he catch you.
Not if he's been damaged.
Mmm.
Fat lot of good that did the ancient one.
I guess so. Well, shit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's not really a lot of magical stuff that I'd really want.
What about what is it, the magic carriage?
The magic mirror. I'll take the magic mirror.
The magic mirror?
Yeah.
But which version of the magic mirror?
I'll take from Shrek.
For Shrek?
He seems like he has a better personality.
That's true.
He's not as scary as the Snow White one.
Yes. He's got like a talk show host personality.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
like I could just be friends with him.
Yeah, you're gonna treat him a lot better.
Yeah, he can tell me, no.
It's essentially the same kind of personality he has in Wolf Among Us.
I was gonna say, I was like, oh, what about the magic mirror from Beauty and the Beast? But that's basically FaceTime, so like,
yes,
don't need that anymore.
Nope.
Show me mom and dad. I hope that there's a
show
mod
me the best sales on Amazon.
Can I get that as like a mod for Siri where it's like, say, show me so and so and it FaceTimes them? Is that a thing, internet? Please tell me. I am technologically
Put in the comments
illiterate.
below if it's a thing.
Show me the beast and it calls you.
Ah! Ethan, why are you calling me?
I'm sitting right next to you. Stop phoning me.
Doesn't make any sense. I'm a decent man. So is that your answer? Magic mirror?
I don't know. Like, I feel like it should be.
I'm gonna amplify that.
Like, it's between that or the genie's lamp from Aladdin.
Oh shit, I hadn't considered that.
Because, like, I have wishes then. And also Robin Williams.
I guess, yeah. Like,
because it's specifically the genie's lamp.
Specifically, you want the animated lamp, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I'd take Will Smith as well. Like, either.
Dan Castellaneta.
Yeah, I mean, any of those guys, that's
But
fine.
no, if you have the Dan Castellaneta version, that's after he's freed and he doesn't grant you wishes.
Exactly. So,
But he'd just be your friend.
Yeah, it's true. A friend like him, yes.
A friend like me. Oh my.
Yeah, I think the magic lamp is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. I'm good.
Too bad, no, you can't have it. You got Mary Poppins' stupid bag.
Stupid bag.
It's empty until you put stuff in it.
Yeah, you literally could wish for that bag.
I know, I
can't believe I didn't think of the f***ing genie.
My first wish is I wish that I had Jesse Prosser's wish, and
What?
Actually, that's a question. Do you think you could wish for, like, the next person who, or... no, I don't think so. Because, again, like, it's me...
You can't... It's like, can I wish for more wishes?
Well, and, like, the stupid thing for me, this is just how I am. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, the third wish is to wish the genie free.
Yes, of course.
Like, yeah,
so
like, that goes without saying. You only have 2 wishes.
Yeah, if you're not an asshole.
But then you get a genie as a friend for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So, really...
Unless the genie's just... Well, specifically, it's... Yeah.
It's the genie. Yeah, it's that genie.
Yeah, because other genies, obviously you wouldn't want to wish Jafar free, because that'd just be bad news.
Exactly.
As we saw in Return of Jafar. Whatchamacallit. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I got bamboozled out of the better fantasy object.
Can never go wrong with the lamp.
And yeah, it's true. I still think that having the Mary Poppins bag is still pretty solid.
I can wish for a million of those bags.
You could.
And I could sell them and make a profit.
It's true, but why not just wish for the money you would have made selling those?
Because I can also wish for the money. I can wish for more money. I can have money, and then I can still be making a profit with these bags.
You take the money and put it in one of those bags.
Exactly.
But then what if you get them mixed up? Then you just have a bunch of bags, and one of them's got your money.
But I can still sell those bags for more money.
Yeah, but what if one of them's got your money?
I can still sell the other bags for more
money. Also, do you think people are actually going to realistically buy a bag just because you say it can fit infinite objects?
Well, no, you got to show them.
Yeah, in person?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, yeah.
It's like a door-to-door salesman. The best part about
You're going to go door to door.
The best part about it, though, all you need to do is carry one bag because all the other bags are inside that bag. This is a flawless business plan here.
See, it's the best. So which one? Wish for a million
I could
a
wish
million bottomless bags.
I could wish for an infinite amount of bottomless bags.
Why would you want an infinite amount of bottomless bags?
Because then I can keep selling these bags.
Yeah, but you're gonna eventually run out of people to sell them to, and then you've got too many bags. Like, are you getting all of them? No.
But they're all stored in the one bag.
Yeah, but is the genie gonna specify that? Like, where are these bags coming from?
I'll work out the semantics with them.
I don't think you can ask for an infinite amount of something, though.
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
There's that one joke where it's the wish is to pull out the exact amount of change the exact amount of money you need from your wallet in any given situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the other wish was like a bird with long legs, and it was an ostrich, as opposed to a woman.
Yes.
Because it's an old joke.
It certainly is. Alright.
Just like me.
In closing...
Poison apple? Poison apple?
Poison apple!
I can wish for a million poison apples!
Yay! And I wish for a cannon to shoot them at people.
Why don't I just make that one wish?
Oh. Wait, what?
Can I have an apple that shoots poison apples? Or an apple... an apple that shoots poison cannons?
Womp, womp, womp.
Can I have a cannon that shoots
Watch
poison
out,
apples?
I've got an apple.
Doctors will not go near me.
Stop shooting apples at me.
It's a law, sir.
That guy keeps shooting apples out of that apple at me.
Anywho.
Yes. In closing, Robert Eggers is a great filmmaker.
And we got sidetracked, but I blame how good of a filmmaker he is.
It's true.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That was a delightful discussion.
That was a doozy.
It was a doozy.
I don't remember half of it. I'm so tired.
It's fine. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
Not okay.
It's okay.
Oh no.
But thank you for joining us once again for another delightful episode of A Feast of Films. Ethan, where can the people find you?
In my bed. Asleep.
Womp womp.
You can find me on Instagram at Ethan R. Hill. You can find me on YouTube at Ethan R. Hill. And you can find mine and Jesse's feature film Damned Rights at realhouse.org. You can buy it, rent it, stream it, or download it. Mr. Prosser, where can they find you? You
can find me at thatjprosser on Instagram, and you can find me under my name, Jesse Prosser, on YouTube. I got some short films on there.
Or inside one of his bags of bottomless goodness.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I could put a whole apartment in there.
You could.
Just stay inside the bag.
Can you get out?
Actually, isn't that like, didn't Newt Scamander, he has his apartment in a bag.
No, it's not an apartment. It's like a zoo.
It's a zoo?
Yeah.
Inside of the bag. See? Like, there's multiple utilities for it. Anyways, have a good night, everybody.
Have a good day. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Ridiculous. You gonna make it?
No.
Oh.